Hello, this is Brother Jeremy Ballinger, and today I'm here with my good friend, Brother Philip Jenkins, and we're going to talk just a few minutes about a special ministry, a new ministry to maybe you and myself, something that's been on Philip's heart for many, many years. It's called Sufficient Grace Ministries, and we're here with Philip Jenkins, and I'm just going to ask him some questions, and he's going to explain a lot of this ministry to you. Number one, actually, Philip, we're here in Shiloh Baptist Church.
Yes, sir.
And that's where you got saved.
Right here.
Right here in this church.
Actually, it's in another building.
In another building.
Right.
This is a newer building, right beside the old one. And actually, you got called to preach here as well.
Yes.
Philip, tell us about, I guess, where the ministry started, where it birthed into your heart. And we'll just start there.
Well, it kind of birthed with my testimony. It just, one night I had given it a couple of times, but was kind of reluctant about talking about my disability.
Yeah.
And, but one night I was with a good friend of mine, Brother John Lindsay, at where he was pastoring at the time, at Barrel Baptist Church in Valonia, and he said, "Come preach." And we were going to do some tag team preaching, and God said, "Give your testimony." And so I did, and God just flooded the altars when it was over with, and folks got saved. And Brother John asked me, he said, "What do you think about taking this and putting it into a message form, preaching the text that you used, and praying about it?" And so 10 years later, here we are. God has had to do some things with me. He put it on hold, but God had to do some things with me. I pastored a church just down the road here from where we're sitting for 6 years. God blessed that and used me, or used to do some things in my life.
Right.
I believe that it was one of the things God had to do.
Yeah, to prepare you.
To prepare me for this. But the God had a plan for everything that He did.
Speaking about that plan, Philip, go into just a few minutes. Obviously, you need to hear Philip's full testimony, the sermon that engulfs the whole his whole life story, really. But and obviously we're not going to do that today, because we want you to hear the full message. He's preached it at my church. He's preached it just here recently down in Florida, several other places, and have blessed a lot of folks. But without going into all of that, start out, I guess, with the plan that God had. Even, how old are you, Philip?
41.
41 years ago, Philip was born. And so start right there.
You know, when I was born, April 3rd, 1979, was born with several birth defects. They told me I was born with excessive water on the brain, which caused legal blindness, cerebral palsy, and I'm only using 5% of my brain. And they also said that if I would have lived, I would have been a vegetable. And here I am 41 years later, and have got 2 earned doctorates because of the grace of God.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't take that lightly. It's something God done. God's done it all.
Yeah.
But God had that plan. But in that purpose, God had the purpose of calling me to preach, saving my soul first, and then calling me to preach.
On April 3rd, 1979, I was born. But I was born into a very dim condition. I was born over at the Med over at Memphis. I was born with excessive water on the brain, so I had very severe brain damage that caused severe water on the brain. It caused cerebral palsy on my left side, and it caused legal blindness. You've probably noticed both of those this morning.
God used people in my life,
Yeah.
my parents, family, to help me through the tough times. God used people in the school the special school that I was in, the Arkansas School for the Blind. Met my best friend, Stacy Reed there, and you know Brother Stacy.
Oh yeah.
And
Brother Stacy.
he's a good preacher.
Yeah.
But here at home, I was a teenager, and you know, when you're a teenager, you go through adolescence and you go through trying to figure your life out. And God called me to preach at the age of 15 in this church, and I had begin to wonder at about the age of 16 or 17, because it was hard to connect with kids or teenagers in this area. I mean,
Yeah.
I would come to church and they'd talk to me, but when they found out my story, it was kind of like, you know.
Yeah.
And I have nothing against them today, but it's just back then you don't you think you're just kind of an outsider. And one day I was in the basement of this church, and we're having Bible school, and there's like 5 or 6 kids. We were helping. The youth was helping that through that Bible school, and there was about 5 or 6 kids standing around, and I'm standing over here by myself. I said, man, it's going to be a boring week. It's just going to be a dead, dry week. And one person out of them 5 or 6 kids, because they were all talking, minding their own business, and I'm over here by myself across the room. This one person come over and asked me, said, who are you? And introduced himself and said, where do you go to school? And I'm going, no. I just kind of turned them off, and I was rude because I'd been there before. People, when they found that out, they didn't want nothing to do with me.
Right. Yeah.
But this person was just very, very nice, and wanted even after I told them and opened up, you know, who I was and all this. And to this day, that's been 24 years ago. That's probably one of the closest friends I have today.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you just never know.
You might not say, well, how do you know that, preacher? You might not know it, or you might not admitting it yet, but you have a thorn in the flesh. You ain't give it up, or you ain't gotten saved and give it to God, whatever, but you got a thorn in the flesh. You might not even know what it is yet. The Lord got a hold of my heart one October Sunday morning. October 17th, 1993. Do you have to know the date you got saved? No. But you need to know something about it. People tell me, they say, well, Brother Philip. I said, can you take me back to a time when you got saved? No. Well, I was baptized. No, I didn't ask you when you got wet. When God dealt with your heart about being a sinner.
So, with all the different things you've been through, Philip, the difficulties, the obstacles you've had to face and overcome, you've probably been in church since you've been saved, since you've been called to preach. You've probably been in church.
I've been in church all my life.
All your life. So somebody that's listening today that says it's just, you can't serve the Lord, it's too hard to be a Christian. Your life right now is a testimony that God does have a plan. He's got a purpose.
You know, I don't know where you are, but I mean, you could be depressed, down, not have any kind of disability, but you could be depressed and down. Hey, God's got a plan.
Sure.
2 Corinthians 12:10, Brother Jeremy. Well, in 2 Corinthians 12:9, he said, "My grace." He told Paul, he said, "My grace is sufficient for thee." But he goes on to say, "For my strength is made perfect." For he said, he said, for I will, he said, in my necessities, in my persecutions. He said, for when I am weak, then I am strong. And I'm chopping that verse up, but I mean, those are my life verses, 2 Corinthians 12, 9 and chapter 12, verses 9 and 10. Yeah. And that's what I use in the message. But, this evangelistic ministry is not just, it is based on this message, but I also am available for revivals and things like that. Just preached a Bible conference in Florida and had a good time down there, and things like that. But we want to be an encouragement.
You've preached here in Shiloh. Yeah. Shared that testimony along with other messages.
Mm-hmm. I am the staff evangelist.
Staff evangelist here, under Brother Kenny Guy McMahon. And Philip, tell us about. You have a Facebook page, right?
Yes.
Personally, you have a Facebook page, Philip Jenkins. Also, Sufficient Grace Ministries has a Facebook page.
Yes, sir.
All right. And is there a phone number that you want to share that people can call? Or obviously, we're going to put a prayer card on this video. That way, you'll have all the contact information just in case I mess it up.
You can call me, 870-408-2132. You can contact Brother Jeremy.
Sure.
I mean, he's kind of helped, along with this ministry, kind of took it aside and done a lot of things with it. Thank him for that. But anybody that you can call the church, of course, the church here, Shiloh Baptist Church, look it up and just leave a message.
And that's in Harrisburg.
Shiloh Baptist Church, Harrisburg, Arkansas.
Yes.
And leave a message for them, but you can reach me and talk to me personally.
He's been, like I said before, he's been a blessing to our church. He'll be a blessing to yours. Sufficient Grace Ministries. Brother Philip Jenkins, look him up on Facebook. Both of those, him personally and his ministry page. Like it, share it, get the word out, and help us get this testimony. It's like Philip was saying, yes, it is his story. It's his life story. But how many of us know that your story is God's story, and God has that plan and he has that purpose, and he can do something with your life? And Philip is a testimony to that fact. So I appreciate you watching. Philip, anything else?
Just God bless you.
Hopefully we'll see you soon.
God showed Philip Jenkins what his purpose was. Folks, don't limit yourself. Child of God, tonight, if you have been hiding behind a facade, come get it right. If you ain't laid that thorn down, come give it to God. Church member, saved church member, you've got a story to tell, and it's about Jesus. And don't tell nobody that it ain't your job. Teenager, are you lost tonight? Quit hiding behind your parents' salvation. Preacher's kid, I don't care who you are. Church member, do you really have it tonight? Christian, what's your thorn? You might not know what it is, or you might know what it is, but you need to come give it to him. Let him use it, or let him have it, and let him do what he wants to with it.